Hi, I'm Anthony Newbold. Welcome to another edition of Legends. We're still here on the beautiful island of Bimini, Alice Town to be exact, and to be more specific than that, we're at the Bimini Museum. And if we look a little red while we're talking to you, it's because this is the heat of summer. But as I said, we are at the Bimini Museum. Couldn't think of a better place to talk to my guest, local historian extraordinaire, among other things, Mr. Ashley Saunders. Mr. Saunders, welcome to the program. Ashley tells me comes because you're born on Ash Wednesday. Any significance to that? Has that affected your life, colored your life?
Yeah, that made me, that's the day in the Christian church, the Anglican and also the Catholic, where the priest, that is, marks the forehead with the ashes during that first day of Lent, set aside, And when I was born, my father always told my mother, say, you better watch out for that boy, because he's going to do some things.
He's going to do some things, eh? Early schooling, of course, primary school, and what I call homeschool before you go away to college.
Yeah, I went to school right here, the Bimini All-Age School. In those days, it was just more or less, everybody sitting in one big room. There was not too many. In fact, there was very little individual classrooms.
Right.
And you were taught everything by one particular teacher. And we sat in benches in those days, and some of the picnic bench.
Right.
And no individual chairs, and then we carried slates, which is a piece of stone, or and we wrote with chalk.
That's going back a little far.
Yeah, that's what school days was like for me.
And then you, as I said, you did what I called being homeschooled, because you hooked up with American University, was it?
Yeah, I studied at home after I could have gone. We only went as far as the age 14 here in those days, and then you had to leave to make room for the younger students that were coming behind you. And so I wanted to further my education, and there was nowhere to further it right here in Bimini. So one day I saw an ad in the newspaper said that you could study right at home if you if you enroll in this particular school. Yeah, and I enrolled in a school in the United States and studied right at home, self-taught. All the high school subjects.
Yeah. But then you got an opportunity to go a little further, because you go to Miami-Dade then.
Yeah, I went to Miami-Dade, which was right next door to me, wanted to be close to home. And I studied philosophy there. I used to work part-time at the Miami Herald in the stocking newspaper to help with all the finance there, a little pocket change.
So what were you going to, because you studied philosophy.
Yeah.
Were you thinking of teaching? What were you going to do with philosophy?
Well, my father died when I was about 14, and my mother, we had 10 kids. My mother was left with 10 children, and she had a lot of young ones, and she got into baking bread, Bimini bread, and selling them, locally, and I had to help out a little bit. But I had a lot of philosophical questions because I was an apprentice to my father when he died. I was learning the ship. He was a ship carpenter and a house builder, and I was learning the trade. And then all of a sudden he was taken away from me, and I had a lot of philosophical questions.
Yeah, why?
On my mind.
Yeah.
Well, I started to. I lost a good friend, and I lost a father, and I lost a breadwinner, and I wanted to know why he might have been taken away so early.
And so you go into philosophy.
I went into philosophy, yes.
You come out of Miami-Dade, you end up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I got a scholarship from the Bahamas government. In those days, we were just around independence, or pre-independence days. The Bahamas were trying to get rid of the British and become an independent country. And so a lot of the British expatriate teachers were leaving the country and heading back to England and elsewhere. And the Bahamas government made made it their job to try to recruit the Bahamian teachers, Bahamian students to become teachers, so that to fill the vacuum. And I was one of those persons that the government recruited, and I was sent to Wisconsin.
you're not done with your education though, because you ended up, even after you are done with the University of Wisconsin, you come back to teach, but you end up going to Harvard University.
Yeah,
And you're still with philosophy now.
yeah. I went after coming back to Bimini and teaching at the Bimini All-Age School for a couple of years. I got into a lot of the young children, and I wanted to go further into their minds. And so I went to Harvard University because that was the only school that was offering courses in the philosophy of young children.
Okay.
And so that was the reason why I went there, because I really wanted to analyze and get into the minds of very young children from a philosophical point of view.
Yeah. How did that help you when you got back here and started to deal with these children?
Well, I used to, in Cambridge, where Harvard University is located, Cambridge, Massachusetts, we spent a lot of time in the field, going from house to house, interviewing kids, asking kids a lot of philosophical questions. And that helped me when I returned home to become a better teacher and to observe and pay attention to philosophical things that ideas that a young child might say.
Help you to know where to direct your lessons, if you will, or your lesson plans.
Right. Yeah. And of course, I've written some of those analogies about philosophy of young children in my books, in my poetry books. In fact, in two of them, The Sun Makes It Red and The Night of the Lionhead, I've included
some of the observations.
Some of my observations that
Let's talk about that poetry, because you've written how many books of poetry now?
I've written 4 books so far of poetry, but I've written other poetry that are not included in books, that I put in history books.
Okay.
That are not in the poetry books. So, and I'm still writing poetry, and even though I'm not, haven't published anything in recent times.
Philosophy, teaching, you're writing poetry, and you're writing books. First of all, before we go to the books, where'd the poetry come from? Because some people start to write poetry and they stop at 21 or whatever.
Right.
You continue to write poetry.
Yeah, I started writing poetry when I was about 14 years old, and got influence right there from the sun, sea, sun, the elements of the Bahamas, you know, and then living on a small island where there's not much to do, you know. In Bimini, growing up in a family island, I had a lot of free time, so I got an interest in poetry back then, and then you know, when later on, say about when I reached around 20, in the early 20s, I had sufficient poetry, you know, to publish a book.
Right.
Sufficient poems I'd written for a manuscript. So I proceeded to do that because I, at that time, was looking for materials, indigenous materials, to use in the school system I was teaching.
Right.
So the kids could identify with my work, you know.
Yeah, we can always go and listen to Keats and Shakespeare and everybody else while they were the standard.
Right.
We wanted some local things.
Right.
What kind of response have you gotten to your poetry over the years?
Oh, I get excellent response. It's so excellent that I've written 4 volumes of poetry, and my poetry I've sold like